Hello and welcome to September's edition of TBR Trials. Today, we're going to be playing Huggermugger. I don't know if anyone outside of my family actually knows what Huggermugger is. It's a very fun game. It's basically Trivial Pursuit, but for language. So we're not going to be able to play it in the traditional way because each card, as you'll see, very much like Trivial Pursuit, the answer is right on it. So this is how the typical card is laid out. The first one, alphabet soup. You are meant to unscramble a word, but the answer's right there. The next one, the key, is a definition. The answer has the asterisk next to it. B is a spelling bee, where you have to spell the word. And then horseshoes is just sort of something different every time. We will deal with it when it is applicable. The name of the game is to find the word behind the dials. So there are 100 words on the board and you just pick a number and then you go around the board. So this is just all of the categories that you can use. The hands are meant for moving around the board, but we won't be using those today. Basically, I'm going to roll a d6 to pick which of the starting points I start at, and then I'm going to roll a d100 to figure out which word we're gonna do, and then we're just gonna kind of go around the board, and whichever one we land on, we'll pull a card, and that's the word that I have to use for my TBR. Are you confused yet? There are 6 spots here in the mystery word, but some of them will be blank. I have never seen a word shorter than 4 letters, but it means we don't know what we're gonna get until we play the game. So it'll be between 4 and 6 prompts that we have to fill. Hopefully I've explained that all correctly. I'm sure that I haven't. As with last month, we won't be implementing any sort of punishments or rewards. This is just kind of to get a feel for how the game works. All right, rolling a d6. How do I show you this? Can I roll this one here? There. So it's a 5. You saw that, right? So we're gonna start at 5 and then we're gonna roll d100, 29. So I'm going to set the wheel. Oh, I just remembered something I forgot to explain. So what we're gonna do with the mystery word is for whatever prompt I have to fulfill, that letter has to be in the title. I was going to do starts with, but one time we were playing this and the mystery word was kayak. And there's no way I have 2K books on my TBR that can fit a prompt. It's just not gonna happen. So maybe in the future there will be bonus points if it starts with it. But for right now, we're just aiming for somewhere in the title, hopefully. I have not play tested this one, so let's hope it goes okay. So 29 has been selected and we're ready to go. Oh, I should mention, to move around the board, you use this spinner, but it's notoriously bad for landing on a line. You can see I didn't even do anything. So we just roll a dice instead. All right, roll 1, 2. I'm gonna go clockwise, naturally. So the first thing I land on is alphabet soup. And the word is vacant. And the letter is S. This is not, I didn't plan this very well visually, but we'll see. Roll 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the key. And for that we get fastidious, which means picky. And the letter is A. Roll number 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another soup. The word is lumber. And the letter is L. Roll number 4 is 1. So we have landed on the frog, which I did not tell you about before because I forgot, obviously. For that, I can pick any one of the words on the card, and those are carton, penitent, synagogue, and the horseshoe word is idiots. And for number 4, the letter is M. So the word's gonna be salmon. I can't think of anything else that would be S-A-L-M and not salmon. Okay, roll number 5. 4. 2, 3, 4. The key. The word is maxim, which means a rule of conduct. And the letter is O, just as predicted. So this is the final roll. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Horseshoes. Okay. I'm glad we did get a horseshoe because we should talk about it. So the horseshoes sometimes are just fill in the blanks, like you saw with idiot. But this one says list 10 words that have the letters EA in the middle. The plan for that is I'm going to time myself on the little timer that comes with the game and come up with as many words that have EA in the middle, not the exact middle, but just not the beginning or the end. And then one of those will be the word that I have to use as my prompt. For today, I'm going to be nice and say I can choose any of them, but in the future, maybe I will roll to see which one I end up using. There's the timer, and I'm gonna go. I did very bad. I know there's time left. It won't help me. Okay, I came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. I'm normally much better at this game, I promise. I have steam, team, dream, clean, mean, and dean. So, one of those will be the word. So this game ended up being a lot more challenging to find books for than the previous game. I just think a lot of the words had very little wiggle room to work with. The other ones were up for interpretation a lot, but these ones sort of... There's not a lot of wiggle room in fastidious, I guess is what I'm saying. I also had to do 6 instead of 5, which makes a difference. So let's talk about them. I'm gonna go a little bit out of order just to show you my thought process. The first word that I pulled though was vacant, and immediately my brain went The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. It like says vacancy right on the cover. It's basically perfect. So yeah, that's the first pick. The second thing I did, because I didn't have any quick answers for anything else, was plug all of the words that I had into Goodreads. And one that came up for the 6th prompt where I did the horseshoes, one of the options was Dean, and when I plugged that in, I got The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is a book written in verse about a boy who explores the drag scene, something like that. I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm very excited to get to that one. The other one that I knew the vibe I was gonna go with right away was lumber, because what do you do with lumber? You turn it into paper, so it's going to have to be something from my physical TBR, something made of lumber, and for that I'm going with The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is very stressful for me because part of me thinks this is going to be 5 stars, but another part of me knows that I DNF'd Cersei. It really could go either way. I know very little about this other than that it's having a big resurgence and everyone seems to love it. I honestly don't think I've seen anyone say anything bad about this. I have seen people say bad things about Cersei, so I think there's hope. This book also fits my same month, different year. This was written in September of 2011, so a 10-year anniversary. I also just love this cover for some reason. It's shiny and it's blue. It's gonna be a good time. Now the rest of the books I had to do a little bit of research for because having fastidious mean picky, that really doesn't give me anything. And so fastidious more means like very careful and orderly and following lots of rules and proactive. And my brain said, you know who has to follow a lot of rules? Astronauts. This is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I'm really excited to get to this one. This one might be a stretch, but I just really want to read this book. Also, it's enormous, so I have to do it. This, from what I understand, is a story about an astronaut who wakes up without any memory. But I believe that there will be fastidiousness involved. Next is Synagogue, which obviously I immediately thought something by a Jewish author, but I did have to do quite a bit of research to come up with what I actually wanted to do. And I think what I've decided on is Devil in Jerusalem by Naomi Ragen. I try to know not very much about my books, so my explanation is probably off, but my understanding is the opening is a mother who has 2 sons in the emergency room with like bad wounds and stuff, and she's refusing to talk to the police, and it's a fictionalized version of a true story, which I think is really the thing that got me, because I just read Her Pretty Face by Robin Harding, which was also a fictionalized retelling of a true story, and I really enjoyed that, also having sort of a true crimey aspect, so I'm interested. Cautiously optimistic. And the final word is Maxim, which I did some more research on. The card just said rule of conduct, but from what I understand, it's more of a snappy saying. Some examples were a watchpot never boils, and don't count your chickens before they hatch. Stuff like that are apparently maxims. So in trying to fit that, what I've come up with is Act Your Age, Eve Brown. It's snappy like that. It feels like it could be a maxim. It's probably not, but it's what we got. This is the 3rd book in the Brown Sister trilogy. I have read the previous 2. People have also said that this is the best out of the 3, which I'm very excited about. However, that is not the end of the TBR, that is the end of the game, but I have many more things that I want to read. First up is my other challenge. Every month is to read the buzzword. This month it is dark, and so I'm going to be reading Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, which I'm honestly really scared of. I've previously read Sharp Objects, and I still think about it a lot. The dollhouse will just forever haunt me, and so I'm a little worried about being haunted doubly. But I did really enjoy it. Like, obviously she's doing something right if the book sticks with me for as long as it has, but I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna let you know how it goes. And then the last thing I have to talk about is I learned about Sci-Fi September. This is a readathon being run by a lot of people. Books Are My Social Life is who I saw it from. I will link their channel somewhere. This is a month-long readathon with a bingo board. Here's the bingo board. So I have decided that I will be doing the right side. I have books that will fit all of those prompts. The first prompt is time travel, and for that I will be reading One Day All This Will Be Yours by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Adrian Tchaikovsky is the author of Children of Time, which I absolutely loved. It was one of my favorite books of last year. More books are falling. And this is a short story. Not this, obviously, this is very much not a short story, but my understanding is it's about an entity, I'm gonna say it's a dinosaur because that's what's on the cover, who has arrived at the end of time and is now telling the story of what happened. I have many questions about it, but it's short, so I don't want to know much more, and I know I already love Adrian Tchaikovsky. Next is a contemporary with sci-fi elements, and for that I'm going to be doing In the Quick by Kate Hope Day. I have read this author's previous book, If Then, and I really loved it. That one is definitely a contemporary with sci-fi elements where you can sort of see through to other realities where people in your life who have died are alive in that other reality, and you can sort of see through. So that's what I'm basing this off of. I truly know nothing about this book other than I assume it's about astronauts, hopefully. Next up is short story, for which I will be bending the rules a little bit, and I will be reading Song for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This is an itty bitty book. It's not a short story, but it is a novella. It's under 150 pages, so I am counting it. This is the first in a new series called Monk and the Robot, and then the last spot is recommended, which I will be using for Project Hail Mary. I actually had a non-bookish friend recommend this, that they flew through it and wanted everyone to read it. And I really enjoy reading things that less bookish people read to sort of get a vibe for what the public is reading. That sounds really pretentious. I just think it's interesting to see what other people's tastes are if they're only going to pick up one book in a year. Why is it this book? Okay, so now that's it. Now that's the whole TBR. It's probably way too many books. How many books is it? Like 10? Technically I can do 10 books in a month, but we might be cutting it close. And I actually have other books on my TBR that I haven't even mentioned here because they're for videos this month. So you'll see those when the time comes. September is going to be a challenging month. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for playing Huggermugger with me. I hope that you enjoyed. I know that it wasn't quite as visually stimulating as I was hoping, but it actually went pretty okay for finding books for everything. I don't know if it's what I'm going to stick with in the future, but I would love to get your opinion in the comments below. What you thought of the game, what you think of any of these books. Tell me your thoughts and feelings. I always appreciate it. I am done talking now, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.